Unite Union. Ross, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Just remind us of the state of play in relation to what is available. Is it a £100 payment or is it a higher payment than that?
Yeah, obviously when the cuts were announced and came in for the scrapping of the winter fuel payment, the payment is still eligible to those who are on benefits, etc. That hasn't changed. It's now the fact that it's means tested, and where it's been means tested is at such a low threshold, it's basically chucked even more pensioners into an already dire poverty situation. Last year alone, when the winter fuel payment was eligible for everybody, we had pensioners using the likes of the glider bus from east to west Belfast just to stay warm. So what now has been proposed, the mitigating circumstances that was brought in by Stormont was a one-off £100 payment. Which is absolutely meagre in terms of what the original payment was, which was £200 to £300 dependent. So now with a situation where those who can get the £100 as to a mitigating circumstances offset, it still hasn't been paid. It's now been saying that it's going to be in March, and yet here we are. We've just had one of the worst storms this island's seen in many, many years, and we're now really hitting the cold spells, particularly January, February, where this will have an impact. You know, there will be potential excess winter deaths. There will be more strain on services such as the NHS, which is already under a lot of pressure because of the ailments that come through being in cold homes, and it's people having to choose between heating and eating, and it's just absolutely despicable.
And it will be a little while yet before they get this £100. They're expecting to get it by March. Am I right on that?
Gordon Ryan's office, the Minister for Communities is assuring that it's putting immense pressure on the team there to get this out by March, but that's just simply not good enough. I mean, they clearly know, we'll have a department that know who these people are for the £100 payment. Why hasn't it been paid? That's the big question.
And there was an issue, however, beforehand with every pensioner getting the money when so many of those pensioners didn't need it.
This is an argument that's been put forward, but to be honest, pensioners here in Northern Ireland in particular are on some of the poorest pensions in the whole of Europe. But that aside, these people have paid the taxes, they've worked the dues, and particularly here in Northern Ireland, these people, they've seen enough conflict in this island previously and have given their dues and gone through. People shouldn't be penalised. But equally, we're not talking about rich billionaire people here who shouldn't have it. We're talking about ordinary working people who are just above the threshold now. Like I say, fuel poverty here is some of the worst in Europe as it is, the poorest pensions in Europe as it is. The fuel prices increase each year, and if you look across the water to the likes of England, Scotland and Wales, they have other things in place such as cold home grants, etc. We don't have that here in Northern Ireland. So what we've done now is exasperated an already dire situation for pensioners, and we've just increased the amount of people that are going to suffer as a consequence.
And in the research that you've done with your retired members, 2/3 of them are turning their heating down, a third are taking fewer baths or showers, 16% have cut back on hot meals. It's a reminder just of how difficult it is for many pensioners, and you immediately want to prioritise the rollout of this £100 payment, and of course you're calling for the reinstatement of the universal winter fuel payment. On that one, do you think you're flogging a dead horse on that one?
No, I don't think we're flogging a dead horse. I mean, the blame's been put firmly at the hands of Westminster. We understand it was brought in by the Labour government across there, and there's still a campaign across the whole of the UK to reverse this. But equally, Stormont is a devolved government, and it's a political choice right now. There is money there that could substitute this and continue paying it out of the block grant. The block grant is its separate budget for the whole of Northern Ireland. So it's a political choice not to do it. And I dare say if there were elections coming up, they probably wouldn't be doing it. Right now, you're correct in what you say. The priority is the £100 that's been promised. Get that rolled out ASAP. That's some level of comfort. But equally, yes, we want to see the reinstatement of the winter fuel payment across the board. And we also want them to engage meaningfully on some of the other issues around fuel poverty as a strategy as a whole. Do you know what I mean? Because we shouldn't be in a situation where people are having to choose in the 21st century between whether they heat their homes or whether they eat. And that is the choice that people are having to make here.
Yes, but locally at the moment this is costing 10.5 million. To reverse it, you'd need another 45 million.
Well, that's on estimates that were put forward. We've not actually seen the evidence to where them figures have come from. We have requested that, and we've yet to receive. But equally, you know, we've only seen recently that there was a pay rise awarded to those working with instalment recently, a cost of however many million that was. You know, if there's money for pay rises, there's also money to help the most vulnerable in society, and that's the whole point, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We should be looking after those. And particularly those elderly people they've paid their taxes, they've worked their dues, and they should be looked after.
OK, Ross, thank you very much for your contribution this morning. Ross Lopes-Lister from the Unite Union.